Hey, I'm Jane Hipple, and this is my cup of tea. In today's episode, I'm more than happy to introduce Shalini Breault, local author and spiritual teacher. Shalini's story is really powerful, and she'll share it here today. I do want to let you know that it includes details on 9/11 and may be upsetting to some audiences. I will be sure to include links to her work, but I know that her story will speak for itself, as will she. She radiates from this screen. Anyway, I'm so grateful to you for being here and for taking the time out to listen.
Most people ask me when they learn that I have a bachelor's degree in international business and an MBA in finance, and how my life pretty much consisted of working in corporate America and was working for a company as big as JP Morgan. And how did I end up in South Jersey? And I'm now a spiritual teacher and guide and an author. How did that happen? Good question. Because I sometimes have to turn my head like this is my life, you know? But so much reflection has gone into my journey the last 12, 13 years. When I moved to South Jersey in 2006, and a lot of the path that I'm on, it all comes down to my experience at the tragic day of 9/11. So I would like to start there, because once I share my story, it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people how I even got here. So here it goes. And I do have to say that I have it written down, and so you might see me looking down. It's a story that's really hard for me to share, because I can instantly go back to that day and to the place and all the things, and I get choked up. So just to keep me on track, and just to really honor the experience, because it is really the pivotal moment in my life that not only brought me to this path, but it's also why I do what I do to serve humanity and the world at large. So, and it's time to heal collectively. I do believe that deeply. So it is very important for me now to be able to share my story. So here it goes. So my office was in Midtown Manhattan on the east side, but on 9/11, I was signed up for a training in our downtown office, which was across the street from World Trade Center. So I wasn't even supposed to be there. Upon arriving to my training room, I settled down. I was early. The building all of a sudden shook. I was thinking, we don't get earthquakes here. So what was that? Then I would look out of the window to see papers, so many of them, just flying by. Again, I'm thinking, is someone on the roof dumping out files and files of paper? It was so confusing. Like, I had no idea what was going on at this point. Then you heard someone running down the hall, telling everyone to come to the conference room to hear the news. The World Trade Center was attacked. On the TV screen, we saw fire. We saw just this big hole burning in the World Trade Center. Then you see another plane on the TV screen, and the plane went into the other tower, and our building shook at the same time. It shook one more time, one too many times now, and everyone grabbed their stuff and ran down the stairs. I have to tell you, I really don't even remember coming down the stairs. There was so much chaos and confusion. At some point, I'm realizing I am outside the building, across the World Trade Center, just watching the towers burn, fire and smoke everywhere. It was so unreal, no one moved. We were just glued watching, like frozen in time. I didn't know a single person because I was at a training. All my coworkers were back on the east side. I felt alone, and all I could think about was my 3-year-old daughter at home in Long Island. I ran back into the lobby to call my friend at the office because at that time, even though the cell phones towers were down, our internal lines were open. So I'm thinking he knows about my life. He knows where I live, all the important information in case I didn't make it back to Midtown. He would know that I was okay and safe, and I knew he would know what to do. So I went back outside in the chaos to see the tower still burning. Out of nowhere, I heard a faint voice say, "Get out now." It snapped me out of this bizarre state of mind. I automatically, very robotically turned around and went to the subway station, which was right inside the training building. To my surprise, there was a train waiting with the doors open. I went inside. Next stop, World Trade Center. But the train didn't stop. It just kept going. Why were we not stopping for other people? The train didn't stop till we got to Midtown. I was very confused, wasn't sure what was happening. I eventually got to my office, and when I walked onto my floor, my coworkers screamed and were crying. They were so happy to see me, but they didn't think I would make it. And I was so confused again. Why wouldn't have I made it? So what I didn't know was that after I spoke to my friend in the office, went into the subway, which was obviously at this point divinely waiting for me, in that much time, which was less than 2 minutes, the towers had come down. I got onto the last train leaving downtown. For months, I was thankful that I did hear that voice. But what haunted me was this. What if I heard that voice and ignored it? What would my family have to say to my 3-year-old girl waiting for me to come home? My heart became a battlefield. So many questions I needed answers for. How do I want to show up in the world? Was I living my best life? Was I being the best version of me? Was I in the environment best for me? So much internal struggle that I panicked. But the only thing I knew for sure to be truth was that I was divinely pushed out to safety. Why? I thought. The only answer I could come up with was because there was more for me to do in this life. What was that? I had no clue. None. But I did have a second chance to figure out what that was. This was the beginning of my return journey to my heart. All my experiences I learned were lessons to free my heart, to know my truth, and to remind me of who I am. I have been an advocate for heart consciousness and self-mastery since. I don't share about physical health, emotional health, mental health, or spiritual health lightly. I didn't have any of these teachings or practices that I share now when I experienced this traumatic event. So when I say you're not alone, the world needs you, you matter, and I'm here for you, and that I love you, I mean it. I mean it with every cell in my body. When you're given a second chance at life, you take it with everything you got, even though it is messy and it seems impossible. Every year for the last 19 years, I replay this day as if it's happening all over again. The realization that a voice was what decided whether I lived or died that day still makes me both uneasy and grateful. The decision between life and death took less than 2 minutes. I share my 9/11 story on stages and podcasts now because I know it's time to heal collectively. And my work and who I am is rooted in something much higher than I or anyone else can imagine. I hope you can see and feel that too. The mind is very valuable. The heart is very valuable. But what we see a lot of when we're experiencing stress or discomfort is that the mind is dominating. It is telling the narrative. And the heart has no chance to make itself known to steer us in the direction that we need to go towards. I believe the heart is our internal GPS. There is a gift in emotional intelligence. The heart and emotional intelligence is linked to our soul. And it's our feelings, it's our emotions that actually steer us towards our path, or they deter us and we detour away from our path. But we always will eventually get there at some point, whether it becomes like a situation like mine from like 9/11, where I believe like it was a divine intervention with that voice. It wasn't my time, I wasn't listening, and boom, like it made me listen, so, and then the whole journey was pretty much understanding what was the heart telling me this entire time, right? Because the mind was telling me I had to live a certain way. There was an expectation, in the culture, in the society, at work, working moms, all the things, right, that we deal with all the time. So for me, this entire journey that I've been on and everything that I share with everyone comes down to teaching us to have our mind and our hearts work nice together, work in partnership. That is super important, because to me, when that happens, there is ease, there is stillness, there is inner peace in the body, and you allow your mind to have access to the higher mind, and you allow your heart to have access to your divine heart. And that's what we want. We're here for a purpose. If we're all here, if you're listening to me and you're here and you're breathing, then you're here for a purpose. You matter. So we're not here to struggle. We're not here to make life harder for ourselves. And we are fed into this story that it needs to be for whatever reason. But my journey has shown, and I can be the example from 12, 13 years of this to say that no, it does not. Life does not need to be hard, at least internally. You can find peace, you can find stillness, but it takes time, dedication, commitment, it takes trust, it takes faith. And that's something we have to work on, and that's something we have to build, because this world, if you go to school and you go to work, it's really not encouraged or ever taught to have faith and trust in something higher than ourselves. And everything that I do, I did not sought out. I didn't know what else to do but to work in corporate America. All of this is 180 from who I was in New York. So it's possible. It's all possible. We are divine beings. We have limitless possibilities. we can expand at any level that we are willing to go. But that will take some commitment in working and doing the inner work and allowing the heart to lead. And I address a lot of this in my new online course that is called Restoreth the Breath. And it's a 7-module course. Each module is less than 20 minutes. So I made it super easy, no brainer. There needs to be a commitment to your overall well-being. I said yes to me 12 years ago, and all these things started coming my way. Reiki came my way. I didn't even know what Reiki was. It came my way. And sound healing, it came my way. I didn't know anything. And everything that I teach now and that I share, I had no awareness of. Yet it feels so natural to my soul. Because this is who I am. This is who I am. I've always wanted, I've always said, living in New York, that why is there so much stress in this world? Like, we could not have been put down here to experience this much stress. We've just become a high level stressed country and world. Like we're wearing a badge of honor. The more stressed we are, we are better people. We're more successful. I'm not really sure how we've bought into this, but it's not true. And I can only say that because I did believe in that as well. I believed in that story, but I can only say this because I've lived this for 12, 13 years. I have changed and rewrote every story I thought to be true. So if it's true for me that it's not required to be stressed and pulling our hair all the time to live a very fulfilled and happy, peaceful life, as centered as possible, then it's possible for you too. I never feel that it's possible for one and not for all. So this course is a 7-module course. It consists of worksheets. It consists of sound healing meditations. It consists of my stories and actual practices for you to go step by step and to have your heart and your mind work together. It's done in a very easy way. You're gonna hear my voice speaking, but I did it where it's a multi-sensory experience. So I had my friend animate pretty much what I was saying, so it would be more fun. You don't want to see my face, all the time for 20 minutes, So you will hear me speak, but you will have these animations to demonstrate what I am trying to teach. And you'll have worksheets with every module, and it will be very accessible. It will be very self-reflective. It's a self-study course. And I believe, like I said in my 9/11 story, I'm an advocate for self-mastery. All the answers lie within each of us. We too often look outside of us to get the answer, but a lot of the answers we are seeking, those really deep questions about our life and where we want to be, those are already within us. We just need to unlock them. We just need to activate an opening in the heart and, the higher mind. And this course will help you do that. It will help you listen to the mind chatter. It will help you track it every day. It will allow you to answer some questions about, where the heart is, how you're feeling physically. You'll have a chance to do, various sound meditations. And it is really a culmination of my 12 years on this journey in a very simple way. I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money, to be where I am. And I have it all for you in this one course. And it is really one of my most prized creations during, the last 2 years, to really be able to share everything with you. For anyone who wants to be more in their heart and unity consciousness. And that's I feel like where we are headed, in our country and then around the globe. So, check it out. It's all on my website. Everything that I've been talking about, is all on my website, www.swangoddess.com. And my course is called Restoreth the Breath. There is a link on my website to go there, but I believe the website also is www.restoreth, so RESTORETH, thebreath.com. But you should see all information I teach. With pandemic, I've had to pivot everything virtually. So, a lot of my in-person sound meditations and chair yoga classes have not been able to be in session. I do private sessions though, but what I've been able to pivot virtually has been my Reiki trainings, Reiki levels 1, 2, and 3. And I've been doing healing sessions virtually as well, energy healing sessions. And I've been doing guided meditation workshops. So that's how so my first children's book is called Hello, Sun, Moon, and Stars. And the book was actually inspired by my family, me being the sun, my daughter being the moon, my husband being the star. As you remember from my 9/11 story, I feel like it was just a divine intervention to get me out in safeties. And since then, I have been a firm believer in universal forces speaking to us, and there's, all the synchronicities. So my sun sign is a Leo. And so I've always resonated with the sun. The sun rules over the zodiac sign Leo. My daughter, when she was born, I named her Chandani, which in English means, translates into moonlight. So naturally, I'm the sun, she's the moon. So when I married my husband, I had said, you need a cosmic role, right? And because I believe that, the universe dropped him in my daughters and my path. And this is why we moved to South Jersey for his job after I got divorced from my daughter's father in New York because of all the internal struggle. One of those decisions I had to make was leave my marriage. So then I met my husband now, and then we moved to South Jersey. And so I'm like, you need a cosmic role because we're a cosmic family because I'm the sun and she's the moon. And so he became the star. And so then the summer, July 2017, for my birthday, I went to New York City just by myself. I wanted to be in Central Park and just walk around. And that was my self-care gift. So I was very reflective amongst the trees and very grateful, super grateful to the universe about my life. Like I couldn't believe that this was my life. I'm sitting in New York. The last time I was there was, I left my New York life, to be in South Jersey, to be the truest expression of who I am, but I was still very grateful for, my life and my roots in New York, and which got me there. And I was just in this immense gratitude space, and then all of a sudden I felt this urge to write. So I took out my journal, because I always take my journal because you just never know when the inspiration drops. And so I'm writing, and I'm just writing. And at this point, I'm not even really sure I can read what I'm writing, because I'm just like writing so fast with whatever stream of consciousness is coming through. So now I'm going back to the hotel. And because I wasn't sure I could read some of it, I went straight, and I didn't want to forget any of it. So I went straight to the business center and used a computer to type it all out. Now, of course, I was totally aware that I was on a public server and all the things. So I didn't, for privacy reasons, I didn't want to use my name, my daughter's name, or my husband's name, because that's what I ended up writing about. Realizing the gift that my daughter had brought to me to, challenge me, or to really, get me out of my own way, and to retell stories around parenting and motherhood, what that should look like, and all the things. And then my husband's, what was his role, and how he has been this anchor for me to find who I am, to know who I am. I've always said, when I came to New Jersey, that I came here to find me. I got to meet myself for the first time. And, so a lot of that was coming through the writing. And because I knew not to use our names, because I was on a public server, I ended up writing the sun. Every time I wrote I would write the sun. And then if I wrote, instead of my daughter's name, I would write the moon. And then with, not saying my husband's name, I would write the star. And when I was referring to the universe, or to God, or, why certain things were happening, I had just replaced that with Father Sky and Mother Earth, because that's what seemed to have flowed when I had actually wrote the sun, moon, and star. So I'm writing this whole thing, and it became the story. But then I didn't know what to really do with it, because, I didn't think it was a children's book. I've never written a children's book before, so I had no idea. And so then that was July 2017. And then in December that year, in Christmas, I was taking a shower, and I get a lot of my ideas and inspiration in the shower, a lot of messages. And all of a sudden, I almost had this vision of showing, the manuscript to my friend who at the time was publishing books, and I kept seeing children and stuff like that. So I'm wait, is this a children's book story? And I'm oh, I don't know, because she had just done a children's book for herself. So in January, I was seeing her, and I'm can I show you my manuscript? Is this a children's book? I'm not really sure what this is. And she goes, send me the manuscript. So I sent her the manuscript, and she goes, oh my God, this is such a beautiful children's story. And I'm wait, what? So that was the journey. That was my journey, with the children's book. And I kept to it, the sun, moon, and stars, and of course I changed, some things, so it was more of a children's book instead of whatever I was writing, stream of consciousness, because then I wanted to put in a little bit of the lessons of what the gifts of a moon, cosmically, and all the things. But that's how the story went. If you read the book, it's available in English, Spanish, French, and Greek so far, and they're available on Amazon, except the Greek version, because Amazon does not support the Greek language. So that's actually on Barnes & Noble. But all the information is on my website, so you can go check it out there. But this is how it all started, and so my hope is, when the children read the book, the illustrations are absolutely amazing, that they just know they can look out of their window, and sometimes if they do feel alone, that they're not alone. They do have the sun to tap into, the moon, the stars, it's just something cosmically, something universally, and that's important to me, because I want to keep the kids as much in their hearts as I could possibly do single-handedly. So, and then I've always had a passion for multiculturalism, language, since like elementary school. So it was very important to me, and it still is very important to me, to be able to represent as many children as I possibly can around the world. So the translations are so each child feels seen, heard, and felt, and recognized, and for them to remember that they matter, and so, this is why I do what I do, and it is all about heart consciousness. And the second book, my angel book, is coming out hopefully within a month, and that is called Do You Believe in Angels? And again, I would love to share my love for angels, and again, plant the seeds in the child's heart, and families' hearts, to keep the magic of the angels alive, and so that is going to be so super fun. It's so different from my first children's book. I've learned so much in the process, and I've learned just from like doing author visits, and what the kids are really gravitated towards, and how much really you don't really need that much text. Like they're more interested in the illustrations. So this is so different. So yeah, so that's what's going on in Swan Goddess during pandemic, trying to keep inspired and hopeful. And well, you can also find me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me as Swan Goddess. And on LinkedIn, you can find me by my name, Shalini Breault. I would love to hear from you. You have any questions, if I can serve you in any way during these challenging, turbulent times, please reach out. It would be my honor and privilege to serve. Namaste.